Hi everybody. Oh, I should make sure I'm recording. Yes, I am. Hi everybody. I'm so pleased to have with me Gabriella Buckingham, who was kind enough to agree to be here. Thank you, Gabriella.
You're welcome.
Gabriella's a member of Art Tribe, but I've known her prior to that in another group that we both belong to, Alice's group. My podcast co-host Gabriella's in there. That's how I came to know of her, and I've loved her artwork ever since I've known it. But I asked her to be on because she's had particular success this year and because she's committed to a career in art recently and done so well with it. So I won't do all the talking. You just kind of tell us a little bit about you. And you just said to me before we started recording that you've only been serious about this for 18 months. So what were
Yeah.
you doing prior to that? You were painting.
Yes. I went to art college, but I studied illustration. And when I say studied it, it was more a case of I would be working away in the corner of a room on my painting and was pretty much ignored. So that was that. What I did love about art college was the life drawing sessions. They were fantastic. And that's kind of where I excelled, which is kind of ironic because I don't really paint or draw people now. But when I left art college, I painted realistic portraiture, and I got work as an illustrator for things like People's Friend and lots of magazines that don't exist anymore.
Right.
And I did romantic fiction illustrations for them. So that's what I did, and then I went on and I worked for a greeting card company called International Greetings, and I spent 3 years just painting Christmas cards. So I did that, and then I left and became a product manager for another greeting card company called Card Connection. When I took the job, I knew that I only wanted to do it for 2 years because I wanted to go back to being a freelance illustrator because that's what I loved. And I managed to survive, and in fact, I did really well.
So you're still doing all this. You've moved, but you're
Yeah.
still not paint. Are you painting at all in spare time?
Well, from time to time, I might do a still life or something like that, but I didn't really do very much. But we moved in 2007. And I think, or was it 2000? No, it wasn't 2007. Sorry, it was because my son was only 7 months old. So it would have been 2004. In 2009, I'd done enough painting and I was doing this on the side to have a solo exhibition. So I did do that in a gallery in Cromer. It wasn't a sellout, but I sold maybe half of it, I suppose. So that was great. It was kind of tick off my list. I've done that, had an exhibition, great. But then at that time, I just started selling on notonthehighstreet.com. And that's a website where there are sort of thousands of shops, most of them small artisan shops, although there are some bigger ones. And I started on there, and I was doing a hand-painted gift business. So it was kind of like I was painting all the time, but I wasn't creating what deep down I really wanted to be doing. And I did this for 10 years. I painted personalised stars for people. So all beautifully hand-painted and then hand-lettered. And I designed cute characters. I designed cards with cute characters on, and they still exist because I haven't quite kind of dropped that.
Right. I didn't realise that. I didn't realise you were still doing that.
Yes, I am, but I haven't, not very much. I've really got very little available in terms of the wooden things now. I've got some sort of stacked up in my garage, but I just know that that's not where I want to do. This is typical me. I just try lots of different things and see what works. So I've had 2 different Etsy shops. With Not on the High Street, I've changed the brand name, I think 3 times.
So tell us so you've got all this going on, you've been creative all this time, you've made a living at it, but when you make the decision, right, I'm going to get serious about fine art?
Yes. I made that decision, let me just think. I think it was when I changed my brand to Gabriella Buckingham Design, and that was just ticking along. And I have actually, as you know, I've actually got a part-time job. So having a part-time job means that I can take a step back from the pressure of having to earn financially all of my money through my creativity. And so that's allowed me time to explore and play. And I've done a lot of self-development work as well this year. I went through the spiral with Georgina Noel as well. And I think what that addressed for me was my confidence issues, my worrying about what other people think. Obviously, that's still there a little bit, but it really is, a lot of that's really kind of swept away because I know it's up to me just to do the things.
We should just say before we go any further, because some people will be thinking, what's the spiral and who's Georgina Noel?
Oh, yeah.
So
course, yeah.
what's the spiral and who's Georgina
Right.
Noel?
Right. Georgina Noel is an EFT practitioner, so emotional freedom technique. And she has a package called the Spiral, where it's over 8 weeks and you have one session per week with her. And you go through various, I cannot even remember the different levels, but you go through different emotions and the emotions that are linked to those. And you sort of go within yourself. It's almost like a meditation, but you kind of pull out all the negative feelings and you deal with them really on a different level from just the normal level. It's more of a spiritual realm or another dimension almost, and you clear it, and then it kind of allows you to deal with those things on a very deep level, much faster than if you were, say, going through a couple of years of therapy. I think it's probably equivalent to that in a way. I haven't ever had therapy. And I kind of got impatient and I thought, right, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
So I sort myself out. And it has helped, it really has. But I'm kind of assimilating everything now. And I feel like, I was thinking this morning, I said to my husband, I just got 3 words this morning. I actually made a note of this. 3 words beginning with C came to me: clarity, confidence, and certainty. And I thought only one of those is actually impossible. Because clarity, I think, comes in flashes. Confidence definitely grows, and certainty, I don't think that's possible. You just have to deliver that. You have to have faith, I think. It's about that. So a lot of this is tied up in my search for God as well, in a way.
So the spiral after that, that gave you had more of a sense of confidence, more of a sense you could go and do this. Was that a key part?
Yes. I think it's more of a case of learning to trust yourself, really, and just believe that you inherently are such a unique individual that you have to be your own best friend, really. You've just got to love yourself. That's ultimately what it is, and give yourself enough time to as far as painting is concerned, to explore and play, which I know you're a great exponent of. And really go a bit deeper, because I mean I've always been drawn to abstract work, but I haven't felt like it was allowed somehow, because somehow it sort of seemed a bit easy, which I know it isn't, because I have tried it.
Yeah.
You know, you just sort of slap some colours on and it doesn't look like anything particularly. So for me, my way into it is I know going to be, or has been, having an image in my mind. Maybe quite vague, but then I've got some kind of a starting point. So whether it's a landscape or a still life, where I've got it in front of me, and it's the juxtaposition of the light that I'm really interested in, the contrast, the dark and light. And now increasingly I'm getting more into texture and things like that, because funnily enough, when I did CVP with Nicholas Wilton, which I know everybody in your group will know about, I completely skipped over the texture section because I wasn't that interested.
Right.
I can't really explain why, but I just thought, well, text is text, just build it up, don't you? Scratch into it, do all this thing. So I didn't really watch that, but that's kind of coming to me more now. I'm more interested in that, and line work, certainly, because I love line drawing just in my sketchbook.
Yeah.
But for me, kind of getting that into a painting is like a complete puzzle. So that's something that I'm getting towards now.
So when you say that you started to take it more seriously 18 months ago, what does taking it more seriously mean in your life?
Yes. Okay. It means that it's my primary focus. My business on Not on the High Street isn't. It's painting itself is my focus. So apart from my part-time job, I come back, I get changed, I go to the studio. So I will be in here if I can every day. I won't necessarily be painting every day, because I do have to fulfill customer orders for Not on the High Street as well. So I do have to juggle that still. But it means it's my priority. It means that I had in my first 9 months, I thought I've got to exhibit at an art fair. So I found one locally to me, the Art Fair East in Norwich, and I did that, and that went really well. I sold, I think, £1,600 worth of art at the show, which was great because that just covered the cost of it all. And obviously I made contacts and got some people for my newsletter. So I set up a newsletter. I've got, I think, it's not a lot of people, but 230 people, I think, now on there. I've had some sales through my website, and I've also done open studios as well. I'm booked to do it next year, COVID allowing. We're doing one in May, so fingers crossed that will be done. I'd be all right to do that. And I did book another 2 or 3 art fairs this year, which of course have been cancelled. So
It's really approaching it. It's doing more work, but it's also approaching it more with the business savvy that you've had in the past, because you've had businesses before, so you know how to do that, don't you, to some extent?
I do, to some extent. Really, for me, it is about consistency, as in I'm not very consistent. I haven't been in the past, so I'm not going to go say that now. I am increasingly more consistent, and I'm much more interested in actually doing the things that I've rebelled against, because it's, for example, in Alice's group, she's very, very good at planning ahead and tracking what she's doing. And I've just bought a new diary, and I am determined to actually do that tracking this year, because I haven't done it. I've been so naughty with that. I don't write down all my successes, all those things that are so important when you look back. So I've just started to do that now. And that's another thing on my website. At the moment, it's not at the top, it's at the bottom, but there's events and CV, and I updated that about 2 weeks ago with the various good things that have happened this year.
And the good things that have happened this year is what prompted me to ask you to come on Member Spotlight and talk to everybody. So just to give everybody a little bit of background, I did some research before you came on. The first success of Gabriella's that made me ask her to come on was that she was selected for the Royal Academy Summer Show, and anybody who doesn't live in England might be confused by what that is. So I researched it, and it's an annual show that they have at the Royal Academy, which is very prestigious, gallery, but also art school, art institution. All of the top artists, or many of the top artists in Britain, are what's called Royal Academicians, and it's just a whole world. And once a year, they have a public show where anybody can submit, and they get apparently 13,000 roughly entries.
It's more than that. Yeah, it was 17,000. 17,000 it was this
17,000. And they limit the number of entries, don't they? You have to buy a ticket just to enter. That's how busy it is.
And I actually bought 2. I bought 2 entries, but I only got 1.
Yeah, so you know, even to enter, you can sometimes be too late to enter. And so 17,000 people, they choose, well, what I found was they choose about 4,000 to go to a second round. And then around, how many were chosen this year? Because I found 700 as an average number of what.
Yeah, I think it might be 800, something like that, but I should have checked that first.
Yeah, so, but you know, a small number out of that initial 17,000. So anyway, Gabriella is one of those people that was chosen. And so I'm just really fascinated. I've never entered. And so I'm just interested in the whole process. And then I want to ask you about being there and seeing you painting. But so tell us how, you know, talk us through what you go through to be in this show.
Well, for the last 5 years, I suppose, I've always gone to the show as a visitor. And it's just been an ambition at the back of my mind. Or one day, I really want to be here on these walls. I really do. And I never had the confidence to apply or felt that I had anything strong enough to apply. But I hadn't even really thought about it as consciously as that. It was more a case of I had a body of work, you know, I'd done CVP. I felt like this is the path I definitely want to go on. So what do I do next? I know, why don't I try to apply for some competitions and prizes? So actually throughout this last year, I probably entered 5 different open calls, and the RA was one of them. And obviously it's one I really wanted to succeed at. And you enter, I think by January the 27th, something like that. So I just submitted a digital image of 2 artworks. I applied. It was really easy to apply, and just waited to hear. And then I think it was in March that I was waiting for, I was actually at work, my part-time job, and I knew that the email was going to come in. So I was just checking my phone. And I got an email saying that one of them paintings hadn't got through and the other one had. So I was just really thrilled. So that was great. And then it was a case of, fingers crossed, you know, go up to London. So I think I took my painting up. I'm going to take it up. Yes, I was told which ones went in March, but because COVID then hit, we didn't know what was going to happen. So normally you would probably take it up maybe a month later. So there was just silence. And it was a case of, we all had an email saying, I'm sorry, but it's not going to happen in summer. Now, we don't know when it's going to be. Watch this space. But then there was another email saying it will happen, but we're going to do it in in the winter. So that whole process of then taking your piece out that was selected didn't even happen until August. So I took my piece and I got there, and because it had been so long since that had been accepted, I got there and I handed in my thing really nervously, and I had my mask on, and they just take it. They don't want it to be in any packing at all. So I took it all the way up from Norfolk to London, just obviously wrapped in bubble wrap for me, but you had to unwrap it to give it to them. And the guy that took it, he didn't even look at it. He looked at the back and he said, "Oh, where are your labels?" And I said, "They're meant to be labels."
Oh, no.
Said, yeah, and I just thought, I said, "Oh, please don't turn me away. I've come away from Norfolk. Please don't turn me away." I was kind of begging. He said, "Calm down." Or didn't say that. He didn't say, "Calm down, dear." But he said, "Come with me." And then we went into the building, and he went up to these two women who were obviously used to artists coming without the labels because they just printed some out. But you have barcoded labels. Yes, exactly. You have barcoded labels, so they did that, and he said good luck, and tucked the artwork in with lots of others that all stacked up along the side of the wall in a very long, narrow room. So that was that. So I went home, and then I think it was about September 19th. So that was approximately 3.5 weeks later. I was at work. It was a Saturday, and this time, it really mattered to me. And I was thinking, what if I don't get in? And I thought, no. Maybe I will. I just kind of thought, I'm going to imagine that I'm getting in. And I really did visualise getting in. And I got the email through, and I got it through actually as I got home, because I remember I did a YouTube video straight away after I got the email, because I was just the happiest I've ever been, honestly. I was happier getting that than I was when I got married. For example, but yeah, you can see that video. It's on my YouTube channel, but it was just really short. I was just absolutely delighted, and I honestly had such an intense burst of happiness. It's just because it's the recognition, isn't it? That's it. But my attitude to all the things that I've entered this year, because there have been a couple where I got halfway and then no further. Another one I did get through to, which I'll talk about in a minute. But my whole thing with this is, if I can afford to put up the price of entry, I've done it, and I've just thought, right, that I've tried, and I just put it out there, and I forget about it. You see, apart from the RA, I didn't really forget about that, but it was kind of at the back of my mind. And that's, I think, the healthiest way to be, because I know there are so many of us that are wonderful painters. So there's going to be hundreds and thousands of people who are just as good as me that maybe didn't get through. So I would say to them, just keep trying. If you can afford to enter, and it's not cheap, but it's not massive. I think it was £35 per entry, and right. I just took that gamble. I just thought, this is what I want to do, and it really matters to me. So I see it like entering the lottery, which I don't do, and I keep meaning to do. You just take a chance, and that's it. And you just put it out there, and you've sent your best work in, and you just hope for the best. That's all you can do. And don't take it personally if you don't get in, and keep trying. And I'm going to keep trying. I might not get in next year, but I'm going to try.
So now it's in. Did you go to Varnishing Day?
I did go to that, but that was a weird experience. What was lovely was that I met Julia Chance, who's also a member of our Alice's group, right. The Connected Artists. I met her outside. I'd never met her before, but I recognised her from Instagram. And she and I both knew that we were going that day, but we didn't know exactly when. And I went up to her, and she was with a friend that she hadn't seen for years, who she studied at art college with. And we went in together, and our paintings were side by side on the wall in this particular gallery. It's amazing. And that whole gallery was chosen by David Remfrey, RA, who sadly I didn't meet. But because I knew I was coming on here, I thought, I wonder if I can get in touch with him and ask him what he thought about my work. So I did.
Oh,
so
how
I emailed
great.
him.
Oh, that's
I emailed him. And I just thought, worst that can happen is that he says, I haven't got time. So I just DM'd him on Instagram and said, David, would you mind if? And he said, could you? He said, I'm really busy this week. Could you email me? So he gave me his email, and then he emailed me back. And this is what he said about my work. He said, it was a work by an artist who could really paint. It was not literal, and it had that spark of wit that brings a painting to life. Isn't that lovely?
Oh, that's beautiful.
I was just absolutely chuffed with that.
And I'm just so totally impressed that you reached out and asked. You see, this is what I've learned in the last few years that I didn't realise before, I don't think to this extent. If you ask, you get so much more than you imagine. So often people say yes that you think would say no.
Yes.
And we
Yeah,
are, so many, especially women, and I don't mean, I'm sure there are men who feel this way, but I think especially women, we kind of, I don't want to bother anyone. I don't want to be a nuisance. I don't want to, intrude.
yeah.
And I'm just so proud of you for doing that.
Oh, thank you.
And now
Thank
you can have that quote now, and you can put it on your website.
Oh, you know what? I already have.
Good.
I've already put it on the front page because I put a picture of the painting that he chose on my front page of my website.
So I just want to say, Varnishing Day, I love the idea of this because this exhibition goes back so long. And back in the old days, it actually meant that painters would go and varnish put a final coat, do final touches, varnish their work. I don't know why they weren't varnishing it at home. Do you know why they weren't varnishing? But anyway, that's what it was for. And there are famous stories of famous artists coming in and making tweaks on Varnishing Day while the paintings are on the wall.
Exactly.
So it's to think that your work is in an exhibition that's got that history and that. Yeah. And I presume now on Varnishing Day, you're not going there with sprays of varnish and pots of varnish.
There was no one there like that. And of course, it was so different because of COVID. It was almost empty. There were just maybe... in the room that I was in, I mean, as an example, you'd wander into a room and there might be one other artist in there looking at the work. So it was wonderful to be able to go through and look at everything. Because I came all the way from Norfolk. It took me a long time to get there, so I didn't get there till about 3:30, and then it was going to close, I think, 5:30, but they gave us a bit longer till 6. So I didn't meet David Remfry, but I did speak to another artist later on at the end of when we were all, well, not chucked out, but when I went, because I knew I had to get a train. And there were a few other artists looking at work looking at the gift shop. And I was chatting to a man there who'd exhibited several times before. Unfortunately, I can't remember his name now. But he came up to me outside on his bicycle, because he obviously lived locally. And he said, "Oh, Gabriella," he said, "just to say, good luck in the future. And it's been extremely different this year. Normally what would happen is that we would have a church service over the road, and then we'd come over here and we'd stand in the forecourt and have nibbles and champagne, and there'd be hundreds of people, and we'd all go in together, and it would be like a big party." He said, "So I hope you get in another year."
Yes, you can experience it.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh well, it's just a great story. I love it, and and then I decided to ask you to come and talk about this, and then I saw, she's not happy with one. She's in 2 prestigious exhibitions. And the next one is the Discerning Eye exhibition. And this one, again, prestigious in London, quite long established show. And this one is unusual in 2 ways. First of all, the pieces have to be no bigger than 20 inches, I think, square.
I think something like that, yeah.
And the people who choose the work, it's not done by a committee. It's 2 artists, 2 collectors, and 2 critics, and they each get to choose some stuff. So it's not that they all have to agree. They just, somebody chooses your piece. Do you know who chose your piece for that?
I do, and this is absolutely incredible. It was David Remfry.
Oh,
it was David
He's your
Remfry.
biggest fan.
I could not believe it. The thing is, he said to me, because I asked him about that, obviously my email, he said to me, "I chose the painting in Discerning Eye without even realising it was yours." So they look at them, they're completely anonymous when they look at them, they just go by the work itself. So that was wonderful to know, but it's quite amazing that it happened to be him that chose it, though.
Yeah, he's obviously a fan.
Could have done. So I said to him, when I wrote back to thank him for the email, I said to him, "I think you're my angel this year." It's
funny that I said this on the podcast that I recorded with Alice, I think that comes out next week, but you all might have heard it by the time you see this with this. However, anyway, I said to Alice, it's my one thing where I'm really don't like rejection. And I have to really steel myself up. And the successes, like you said, the successes when you get accepted, I'm happy. And then I brush those off. Yeah, but okay, I got accepted that time. Better get rejected next time. I bet next time it's awful. And so it's the one thing. And this year I've kind of avoided it altogether. And I think next year that has to be my goal, is to... Yeah. It hasn't mattered this year because I don't want to enter things because they're all for one project and I'm keeping everything for myself. Yeah. But once that's over next year, I need to get over this. So you'll be my role model. I shall watch your success.
I'd love to help you with that. I'm gonna think about that.
I think
Yes.
because I think I don't believe exactly in manifestation. I don't believe that, people who get cancer, it's their fault because they thought something bad. But I do believe that the way what we believe is going to happen can affect what's going to happen. I believe we can put out energies that are either negative or positive.
Yes.
And you have now a very strong positive energy about yourself and your work, which is really obvious to see.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think it is about positive energy, because ultimately you can't make someone decide to put you in an exhibition, but what you can do is give yourself the best chance. And it's about that. It's about loving your work, the thing that you put forward. Have no doubt about the piece that you put forward. Love it. You might think, I know that there are going to be people that don't like it. That's fine. But if you love it, put your best work forward. And then that's all that matters. If you genuinely love your work, but the piece that you're putting forward, then that is really all that matters.
I think that's such good. The two things I entered before lockdown happened, and then I decided not to enter anything. One, I really loved the piece, but I felt it was a bit far out and a bit raw and probably not, but I loved it. So I submitted it. Yes. It got into the exhibition. It won prizes.
Yes.
And I was genuinely shocked. The second one, I've been waiting. It only comes around every 2 years. It's an exhibition for Northern artists. Comes around every 2 years. And last year I had stuff and it wasn't the year. This year, I didn't really have any of these pieces I'm working on finished. I had a couple of things that I thought, I don't want to miss out. I'm just going to enter them. Mm-hmm. But they weren't my best. Yeah. And I didn't love them. And they didn't get in. And actually, I didn't feel that crushing sense of rejection, because I thought, you should have known. They weren't. Yeah. I think you're right. You've got to be fully, you've got to know this is
I think you have, because if I think about being in that situation, if I'd entered a piece that I wasn't sure about, that I didn't really like, but I thought, well, lots of people said, oh, that's great, but I didn't like it.
Yeah.
If it got in, I'd be like, oh, I don't know if I want the show.
I know.
I don't really want people to look at it because they'll think that's my best work, and I don't think it's my best work. So that's the way I feel about that. So
I saw something on YouTube, Byron Katie, yesterday, and she was talking about something entirely different, but someone hadn't got what they wanted. I think maybe their husband had left them or something. And she said, you're so lucky you were spared. And the person said, I don't understand. And she said, when something doesn't happen, you were spared from something. And even if that's not true, if you think of it that way, it's a much more nice way to go through life. So you're right. I was spared having work that wasn't my best work on show for the first time in that arena, and thinking, but I could have done better. And
exactly, because also that comes, and also if you had got through, you wouldn't really have felt completely 100% about shouting about it either. You wouldn't have thought, I got in, I'm going to show this piece to everyone, and then get stuff out there, because you'd have been like, oh, well, I've got this in, but not really.
So at Discerning Eye, is that all online this year?
Yeah, unfortunately it is. So I really hope I have this success another year, so I actually get to go to something. There's lots of people.
You will. When does it open?
Discerning Eye, I think it's the 14th of November, and then it runs till 31st of December or something, or 20. It's December. It's quite short anyway. One thing I didn't say about the RA one, that I just found out that it sold. I found out day before yesterday, and it sold on the day after the exhibition opened, and I didn't know because the email went to my spam. So I looked, because then when we got the notification that, again, of course, because of COVID, the next lockdown, they're closing now. They've closed again until December the 2nd, or whenever the government says that they can open. They put everything online under a link called Explorer, so you can go and look at every single piece of artwork, and there's a buy now button underneath. So I thought, I'll just go and have a look at mine, and there was no buy now underneath it, and I thought, but I said it was for sale. And I immediately emailed them and I said, I don't know why there's no buy now button underneath mine. And then my brain started getting into gear in the middle of typing. And I thought, unless it's sold. And then I didn't hear back. And I thought, so I sent them another email. And then Joanne Olney, another mutual friend of ours, put a story on her Instagram with a picture of my artwork and Julia's and the one above it, all with red dots on. And that's the first I knew that it had
that's
sold.
great. So, given this success this year, what's happening for you now? What are you doing? What are you working on art-wise, and what are you planning for next year?
Oh, good question. Well, I've just got a new diary, so that's kind of as far as I've got for planning.
Oh yeah, you said that.
Apart from booking the open studio, so that's in the last weekend of May, the bank holiday weekend, and then the first weekend of June. So I've booked time off my Saturday job, and so we're definitely going to do that. I'm working on some smaller artworks at the moment, which I'm hoping to get done in time for the Christmas market. I'm going to put some of them on Not on the High Street actually and test that, because why not? Worst can happen is they don't sell, and I just think, well, take them off. So I'm going to do that, but I'm also going to have a go at doing some more things for the Artist Support Pledge, because I've done a couple of things recently which did sell, which was lovely, and I did some work on paper, some still life work, and they sold. So I'm going to do some of that as well. I did have lots of plans of doing a whole Christmas range, because I still do repeat patterns and gift wrap designs, that sort of thing. But I haven't done it for ages. It's not that I can't do it, it's just fitting it in. And as we spoke about before, it's what takes priority, what's important is my painting. I really am in a phase of discovery, and that is what matters to me. And I'm just actually feeling, especially in these times, feeling very grateful that I do have a part-time job, which means that I haven't got the financial pressure of having to earn a specific amount of money to pay for everything. I'm earning from various things like licensing and that sort of thing, a bit of online teaching, some art sales. I'm earning more than I am at my part-time job, which is great, but I need to earn at least double that before I can afford to leave it. So that's my goal for next year, is to ramp everything up and keep on doing more of what's working in order to do that.
I think the part-time job's such a great idea, because I say that to people. Sometimes I get emails from people asking, it's always amazing me that people ask me things as if I've got some great expertise, but they ask, I'm thinking about leaving my job and going full-time as an artist. How did you do it? Can I leave my job? And I always feel really uncomfortable about that, because like you say, you're putting so much pressure on this very delicate thing. Whereas if you can cut your hours down at the job you're at, or if you can take another job, and preferably one that's a kind of no-brainer job, preferably one that doesn't take stress and pressure. And I so admire, we've got members of the group who are nurses, and in this current climate, how you can manage that and do art, I have no idea. But a job that's just kind of not easy, because no job's easy, but it leaves free mind space for creativity, I think it just gives you that breathing space that then, like you say, when you're not working, you can come in and just be creative.
Yes, exactly.
Without the pressure.
Yeah, I think it's getting over the embarrassment and the shame thing about not being a full-time artist, because we are all artists. It's not I really genuinely don't have any shame about this anymore. And that's something going through the spiral with Georgina. You do go through dogma and shame is one of the things. And it's nothing to be embarrassed about. It serves its purpose. Actually, I quite enjoy it, because especially right now, it's when I actually see people and I'm interacting with people.
There's so few people who can be full-time painters and not have to do something else. I mean, for me, it's teaching, or it's Art Tribe, it's membership site. But or for some people, it's teaching in person, or it was. But there's all sorts of things people do to make it pay. Or sometimes people are fortunate enough not to need to earn a living, in which case then they can be. But I think it's very rare. And isn't it funny how we can see that as, oh, well, I'm not doing it properly if I'm not doing whatever it is that we imagine you're supposed to do.
Yeah, and it's nonsense, because it's about the commitment and it's about the quality of your work. That's it.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I'm just so. I think you're like a walking sales advertisement for Georgina, actually. because you've got just this lovely, calm kind of confidence about you and your work, which is really amazing.
Yeah, you'll have to send me a link to the video and I'll send it to her. And then she'll be like, oh, wow. Because I didn't actually give her a testimonial for ages because I was really letting everything sink in and thinking, have I really changed? Yeah, there's lots of shifts and changes that I want to make to my physical self now, as much as my mental self. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, this has just been fantastic, Gabriella. I know this is going to be inspiring to everyone watching it because it is to me.
Okay.
So you can see from the images that I've been showing you while we've been talking how beautiful Gabriella's work is. And just think, for those of you that are starting out or just becoming serious about your work, look what she's achieved in such a short period of time with hard work. And obviously with talent, but you all have that too. So with hard work and with confidence in herself, which I do think, I was saying that on the podcast a few weeks ago, I've realized that painting is about self-acceptance more than anything. Painting as yourself authentically is just about accepting yourself when stopping saying all those things about what real artists do or what real painting should look like or any of that. So I think you're just super inspiring. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, I've absolutely loved being here. So thank you for letting me ramble on.
No rambling. It was perfect. Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye, Louise.